Hey, my name is Attorney Walter Knott. I want to go into specifically how the SSI Restoration Act intends to go ahead and change how much money a person receives. It's a lot of things. We're going to be doing different videos for each thing, but I want to go through the basics of it. That way, when they actually start to promote this in the news as a potential option for changing the way we deal with supplemental security income, you know, with increasing the amount of money they receive, decreasing the amount of limitations they have with how much money they can store and what kind of benefits they can receive from alternative sources. I want you to understand what each one of those things really is, because I've seen other channels come out with it, but I don't think they gave you a real simple explanation of why it is, what it is, etc. Increase the benefit rate. What updates would improve SSI for eligible older adults and people with disabilities? This is just from Justice and Aging. It is the 2021 version of the Supplemental Security Income Restoration Bill. Here we go. Increase the benefit rate to at least 100% of the federal poverty level. So we've seen different requests, but what this one is essentially to bump it up to 100% of the federal poverty level. It's currently around 75% of the federal poverty level. So that's the $794 that somebody receives per month. And that is, instead of being at 100% of the poverty level, that's at 75% of the poverty level. And so what that equates to is a situation where people do not have enough money to afford the basics to live. So then we have to have these other programs that try to boost them. Okay, they get a little bit of food stamps, they get a little bit of this, they get a little bit of that, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So real quick, the 100% poverty level for one individual in the house is $12,880. And then the more people you add in that house, basically it goes up, but it's not doubled. Like if you double that, you're at $2,400. But not by how they do their math. The way they do their math is the more people you add, the less money you need as a group, because the more people that are together as a group, the less money you have to spend, because you're not buying like, this is my rental and this is your rental. It's you're renting this combined thing together. So the bottom line is, for one person in the household, it's essentially $12,880 is the 100% poverty bottom line. 2, it is $17,420. 3 people in the house, it is $21,960. And then, as you can see, we haven't even gotten to double, and we've got 3 people now living in that house, right? So double of 12 would be 24. We haven't even gotten there yet. It takes 4 people at $26,500 to basically create the scenario of persons in the household all being at the allowable poverty level. So the math, you can see, gets pretty skewed the more people we put into this little domicile, this little home. And kind of the bottom line is, they want to look at SSI individuals as singular individuals. They don't want to have another marriage penalty rule and stuff like that, but they want to look at SSI individuals as singular individuals, not multiple people living in a household, in a dwelling, whatever. So the point is to take this 75% poverty level idea and to then increase it up to 100% to equal, and I love how they say like 100%, at least 100% of the federal poverty. When you think of 100%, they should just call it like the 1%, the bottom poverty level. You know what I mean? But anyway, the point is that's 100% of the federal poverty level. That's like the bare minimum that it should be to exist in America. But that's not what SSI people get. They get $794. If SSI people got 100% of the federal poverty level, they would get $1,073.33. So what's interesting about that is that and let's just kind of break these down, would $800 versus $1,075 make that much of a difference? Right? Would it make that much of a difference? Would $800 versus $1,075 make a huge difference to somebody on SSI? And the reality is yes. Mathematically, we know it is, because that's the bottom line bare poverty level. That's what it takes to exist as a human being in America. And then we did another video where we went through state by state how much it costs. I think the video was called like, "This is Why You're Poor in America," where we went state by state as to like what's the bare minimum, the bottom line that you could earn, and it was always above $1,073 per month. It was always above that. So what you've got to look at here is, so we've got 1,073 and 33 cents. Then we subtract $794 from that, and that equals $279.33. So then what we've got to ask ourselves is $279 as an increase to supplemental security income enough? So it's $280, enough to get people out of extreme poverty, right? Because that's what this is. It's living below the poverty line. And then when you think about it, all it took was $280. Now you multiply that by how many people are currently receiving that. So let's take $280 times, it's around 8 million people. So there's 800, 8,000, 8,000, 800,000, 8 million people. That equals, huge number, 100,000. So that's $2.24 billion. $2.24 billion. Don't you love how I don't have any of this stuff like set up ahead of time? Like I don't like, where's my script? I never have a script when I do these, but you guys who watch me already know that. It comes out to $2.24 billion, which is, sad to say, a drop. It's not even a drop. I don't even think it's a drop. Well, let's say it's a drop. It's a drop in an Olympic pool. It's 1 part per billion in scientific terms. It's minuscule. We give more money than that to ally countries that do nothing for us. Yeah. That's how much that would cost. That one thing. Let's say that the whole change here would cost $10 billion a year. Now let's make sure our math is correct here. Okay, so we got, there's our hundreds, there's our thousands, there's our millions, 2.24 billion. Let's say that if we did everything on this bill, supplemental security income bill, let's say it costs 10 billion. I have no idea if it would. We'll figure that out by the time we get to the bottom of this script here. We printed off of this wonderful group. Oh, and then our camera fell off of our makeshift thingy. There we go. We'll figure that out by the time we get to the end of the Justice and Aging fact sheet. But the point here is this. It costs nothing. It costs nothing in the scheme of things to allow people to live at the basic poverty line. And that's not even all people. That's like just the disabled and those who are basically, old age, over 65. And blind people. They don't throw blind in the whole disability thing in the statute sense, but that's, obviously they go physical impairments, mental impairments, and blind. That's how they always do it, because blind has different rules applicable to it. So my point is this, guys. It only takes $2.24 billion. We give that to countries that don't really do anything for us at all, to just make that, and that's the big provision. That's the biggie. Like all the other ones here, they're not nearly. A lot of them are just like they make more room for the person to exist, right? They can have $10,000 in the bank as opposed to $2,000. They just make more room for the person to exist, or they let pensions pay them more. Like that's the thing, guys. This is the biggie. All the other ones don't cost as much as that one. The in-kind support and maintenance rule is a horrible dagger, but still, that's the biggie right there. That's the big one. Just think about that. If it took $5 billion to fix the lives of moving supplemental security income recipients to 100% poverty level, let's do a quick calculation because, we have no script, so let's get off script. Let's take 790. No, so okay. Let's say, all right. Let's say 133%. Let's do that. 133% of the poverty level, right? So let's say that we wanted to do, instead of the poverty level of 100%, we want to do 133%. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take 17,130. We're going to divide it by 12, and that gives us a monthly payment of $1,427.50. Right? So now we subtract that from 794, and that gives us $633.50. And now we multiply that by 8 million, 1,000, 10, 800,000, 8 million. That equals 1, 2, 3. That's 5 billion.068. So in order to have all of the people on supplemental security income live at 133%, 1,400 plus per month, it would only cost $5 billion. Because that's what it is here. I mean, that's why it doesn't make sense to me. I guess I've lost. I used to be in the argument field in the pool, where it was like, there's not enough money, and now I look at the amounts that make this world turn and make it come together. Yeah, approximately 8 million Americans rely on a monthly supplemental security benefit to pay for their basic. So 8 million people. It would take $5 billion a year. We make $20 trillion a year. $5 billion is nothing. You could have everybody on supplemental security income making 100. You could have them making 150% of the poverty line. Let's do that. You know what? Let's do that. Why not? Let's use our computer calculator. Here we go. 150%, right? All right. So now they're getting $19,320 a month. That's for the 2021 poverty line. 150% of the poverty line. Let's see. 19,320 divided by 12 equals $1,610 per month. Right, cool. So then we subtract off of that $794. That gives us $816. Then we multiply. That's the difference between what you get now and what you could be getting at 150% boost of the poverty line. Then we multiply that by 8 million. Okay, so that's 800,000, 8 million. That equals $6.528 billion. $6.5 billion. To be living at 150% poverty level. That's nothing. It's literally nothing. In the scheme of what this country earns, that's nothing. So then you got to wonder, why are we doing this? And this isn't just welfare. We're not giving money away just to give money away, right? That's what UBI is. UBI is just welfare for everybody to keep a certain standard. What we're talking about is a higher ethical standard than UBI, is a higher ethical standard than welfare. We're talking about people who are over 65 without the means, or individuals who basically are disabled in the sense of mental, physical, or blind. Right? I mean, think about that for a moment. To have everybody live in a great, existence compared to what they were living, $6.5 billion on top of what they're already paying. It's nothing. It's literally nothing. If we could spend $300 million a day in Afghanistan, you know what I mean? It's nothing. Things to think about. We will continue through this list so that you have an attorney's viewpoint as a tutorial why we should be able to do these things. It doesn't make sense to me why we make people suffer that are disabled or at that old age area. And I get a lot of people argue the other argument. I always like to give you guys the other side of it. Well, they never worked hard because they didn't have a job that paid them enough quarters of coverage into the system. And they might have never worked, right? That's the opposing argument. Okay, cool. And that's true. And now it's true, SSI is going to likely be weaponized for incoming immigrants to be able to seek funds, and it's going to dry out the money pool even faster. That's another argument that we're going to start hearing. That'll be out in a year. I can assure you, that'll be out in a year. But, if we could afford UBI or we could afford SSI to be more, I think we should afford SSI to be more than UBI. And let me tell you why. Just from a financial landscape situation. If we go ahead and have UBI and it's not enough, we've created the exact same thing as SSI. People are going to rely on it without striving hard to get a job, to achieve more, yada yada. Because UBI is going to have to at least be $1,000 a month, at least, right? That's what they were arguing, which is still below the federal poverty line. They're setting up a system that's in the same problem area as SSI that we already have. But everybody applauded it because nobody thought it out. And that's okay. That's how things start. That's the beginning. The kicker with this thing is that when it comes to, SSI, you got to earn it in the sense of being disabled or elderly. There's that additional step. I think what's important about that is that people who are disabled or elderly should be given, it's like talking about vets. Do we tell the guy that had a gun in his hand running across the field that had an enemy shooting at him that, he should be homeless now? Or do we tell that guy that, hey, we're going to go ahead and cover him for the rest of his life? Or we tell him we're going to cover him for the rest of his life because we put a gun in his hands and we marched him across the field into certain potential death. Certain and potential. See how I did that with the words? The point is this, though. At the end of the day, we have to look at our ethics and morals here. I think the first step is to raise up SSI. I think that's the first step. If we want to look at UBI after that, I think we can totally afford it. I think we can. If we just do better accounting, we have less pet projects with our senators and House reps. We really need to start looking at this thing from how to take care of people, and it should not cost us the strength of our military to do that. It's a scary thought there. All right. My name is Attorney Walter Knott. I go live every Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. That's when I donate 2 hours to anybody and everybody that wants to call in. I'm one of the only attorneys, in fact, I am the only attorney that I know that every Thursday goes live to answer any and all questions of people calling in, literally on the phone. All the other attorneys will have like a headset on and they'll get, comments in the question area and they'll go ahead and, answer verbally to those questions. That's a cool way to do it too, but there's nothing like putting your neck on the line, like answering phone calls on the spot live, which is what I do. And I haven't seen anybody consistently do that. So I know other attorneys that have set themselves up with planted callers, and I don't blame them. I mean, it's scary to have incoming calls, but apparently I'm a glutton for punishment. So 8 to 10 every Thursday night, Eastern Standard Time. I go live on YouTube. You want to call me? We'll go through stuff. That's when I donate 2 hours every night. I'll catch you a little bit later. Have a wonderful day, and we'll go from there. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.